Peter. He says data centers are going to be an ocean. And some company just raised 140 million, led by Peter Thiel, to build floating AI compute nodes powered by wave energies, commercial deployment by 2027. This is real. Now that's very interesting. So they're going to attempt to build out data centers in the ocean and then use wave energy. Now, wave energy, if you guys have just ever sat back and look at the ocean and see how powerful it is, it could throw an ultra large ship container around like it's a toy in a tub with a kid. Like, it is ridiculous. So when you look at that power that could be harnessed, if you're a surfer, you will know how much power a wave can have, right? So you're just sitting on that surfboard, riding that funky wave. And that's me. I'm a surfer too. Yes, please believe it, a black surfer, the black silver surfer, the black gold surfer. So I'm surfing. And at your back foot, you can feel the power of that ocean and those waves roaring underneath your feet. And so if you could actually create an actual data center in the ocean, then all that wave, all that movement can be harnessed into real power in a real way. Now, prior just having kind of like a mechanism out there to capture the energy from waves and bring it back to sea or land and then bring it into houses, I guess there wasn't really a cost strategy, especially since people's electricity is so cheap. But when you think about it, if you put data centers in the mix, now the cost on tokens and everything, the price is good enough for the capital investment. And especially since it's new, it's going to take a lot of R&D, innovation that's going to be necessary in engineering. So just to do residential electricity might not make sense, but to do electricity for a data center, now that price tag does make sense in what you could charge. So that's very interesting. Now, again, I'm going to take a pause for the cause. Doug MPA, Bing Fire, you all are here supporting the channel. I greatly appreciate it. Ronald's Travelers. People are still here riding Digital Nomad. Very excited to be here. Corey. And then Corey says, I wonder if they'll do a swing battleless and catch Yetis on the bottom or whatever. They're going to tether and do something more mechanical. Also, some serious trigonometry for the tides and storms if you're going to have all those out in the water. Now, I'm assuming, Corey, they're going to plan for that. Hopefully, we got guys with big brains and are being smart, ladies and gentlemen with big brains, to go out there and get it done. And it's launched and backed up by Peter Thiel. He is not a player, not a joke. I like that guy. He's interesting. Now we have another robot doing damage. A cool thing about talking with Brent here, of Robotics CEO, and he's a deep AI thinker who has been obsessed with this for decades. That's what we need, people who are obsessed with this type of stuff, right? It's obvious to me that this is life, his life's purpose. And let's let Neo generalize to completely new tasks out of the box and get smarter through every failure, the same way humans do. And then that's how we go from task automation to general purpose. This guy's pretty serious. If you guys never seen the robot, here it is. I'm gonna bring it up on the screen.
When you get your Neo, it'll be able to attempt almost anything. So what we have with the world model now, which is so magical to me, is what I would call actual true general intelligence.
So this is the company. I don't know if that was a little bit staticky for me. So as you can see, this is a real world robot in a real way. Most of this robot actually does a lot of things in-house. So maybe this robot will be on more of the frontier of the whole household.
It'll succeed, sometimes it will fail, but that of course is how you learn. Now we don't have enough data yet and enough.
So they're still working on the data. Data is a very important thing. A shout out to this book I'm reading right here. It's called Capitalism Without Capital. And it talks a lot about intangibles. And one of the big intangibles of a lot of companies, when you're actually looking through their financial spreadsheets and balance sheets and 10Ks, the numbers for profits, revenues, EPS, PE, forward PE, blah, 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 all that is there. You could see that, you could translate that into some type of intrinsic value. But when it comes to intangibles, we're still building out the accounting practices and the ways to think about this differently in order to actually log in these hours. Again, since 2000 all the way up to now, so that's 26 years of human history. This is relatively new on how to record the value of these companies or estates or entities to see the intrinsic value or intangibles in things like software, marketing, R&D, and etc. So this book attempts to explore that. It's a very interesting book. It definitely talks about intangibles. Right now, intangible investments has steadily grown for companies, and it's some examples of intangible investments straight from the book, right? Software, database, and as this guy just said, we don't have a lot of data. We need more data. So that kind of IP, that IP, that data is imperative. Google has a lot of data, web traffic. Meta has a lot of social data. Microsoft has a lot of enterprise data, how to deal with enterprise systems, how to go about that. So Tesla has a lot of FSD, autonomous, full self-driving data, supervised. Let's put that on there. So all that data is very valuable, especially if you're going to be running these machine learning programs where you need rich data in order to help the machines learn. Rich data is like saying, we got to use these tools in order to work out in this gym, right? You need your dumbbells, you need your bench press, you need your actual pull-up bars. So all this will help you. So we got research and develop, mineral exploration, we got creating entertainment and artistic origins, design, training, market research and branding, and business process re-engineering. These are intangibles but very valuable. If you really look at NVIDIA and Apple, you can make a case that a lot of the value is in a lot of intangibles. Market research, definitely good branding, designing and training, especially designing, right? Like NVIDIA doesn't make chips, TSMC does, and Samsung does, but they don't make chips. So at the end of the day, they do good in research and development. They have a good software, and then that's CUDA database, and they're very good at something that's not actually here, business processing and re-engineering. They're good at that. They manage over 250 plus vendors to bring them together to make a complex thing like an AI factory, which you normally still call data centers. So these are intangibles. It's hard to read. And this is why recently the CapEx for NVIDIA was extremely low in comparison to the revenue they make out of the Mag 7. They're not slated to go to, cash negatives because how much money they're putting down. So shout out to that robotics company. But I just wanted to make that point so you guys can kind of get a gist of that also. What else we got? We had the big homie ex Google CEO Eric up, and he was talking, doing really good information. The real limit of AI is not energy, it is actually cash. And when you add up the cost of these things, and if you take a round number, say 50 billion per gigawatt, then 10 gigawatts is $500 billion. And how many companies, countries, and so forth can hand an industry of trillions of dollars of capital? Very, very few. The Chinese could certainly do it. I do not know if they are doing it, but I'm going to try and find out. In America, there are people who hope that is going to happen. It is interesting that you can finance these things because the brilliance of the American capital market allows us to borrow that kind of money. And for example, the Europeans cannot do this, and in which they are sort of sore about. Yeah, they're sore about it. Like most European countries, if you guys don't know, just fine the heck out of our tech companies. Like they're always being sued for billions and billions and billions because over there in Europe, they ain't got no money. They ain't got no innovation. They ain't got no swag. They ain't got no capital market. I'm a capitalist and full-time investor, accredited investor, soon to be qualified person, but that's for another conversation for another day. What I would say is one of the things that a lot of people just don't understand about the American market is we have a lot of capital. And we're not only talking about big institutional, we have high net worth individuals, ultra high net worth individuals, and also foreign investors invest massive amounts. I think we went from foreign investments from a mere 32 to 40% up to 50 plus percent. So a lot of money is pouring. America has a lot of capital inflow. This is why it's funny when you hear people going against the decline of the West just because maybe they don't like relationships between genders in a romantic sense. But that has nothing to do about the economics. It has nothing to do with the prosperity of the United States of America. It's pretty healthy as far as healthy goes. And then when we look at things like debt, I mean, of course, we can have conversations about debt. Every place has debt. But as long as you have revenue, then you're okay. It's okay to have a debt. Shout out to Ben Mala. Ben Mala has about 250 million probably in equity and another 250 million in debt. And he probably generates somewhere around, I don't know, 50 million in revenue. So he has way more debt that exceeds his GDP, or what we would call for him as a person, his income, his capital gains. But as long as he can service the debt, he's completely fine. He can sell off some of his assets to pay down the debt, which will be completely fine. He can do add value inside the pipeline of his revenue in order to increase the money that he generates to service the debt, which is completely fine. So these things can happen. And so when you're really looking at the macro about what a capital market in America could do, it's very different than what a capital market in Europe can do. And then they're hurting badly. And we can have this money. We have the capital markets. We have the secondary market. We have systems, processes, not only just companies that are on the web, off the web, back in doing deals, buying up shares in the secondary market in order to trade in these companies that are private or public and get them the capital funds and raises that they need in order to get ahead. And that's the difference between us and any other country in the world. This is something that y'all guys heard me talk about before, where I'm like, man, if I was overseas, if I was from another country, I would be investing in America. But again, that's not financial advice to anybody else. I'm in here talking about what I be doing and how I be getting it done. So I just find that to be very interesting. SpaceX, this is a 1 million square foot solar factory construction in Beach Drop, Texas. It is directly south of Starlink factory. Now, this is what I'm talking about. This is the on ground development that I can say at least social networking, reporting, journalism, whatever you want to call it, when it comes to these companies are being done. Like the news hasn't given you these type of bottom lines. They give you headlines now. They've been acting like gossip girls about Beijing and who looks strong and who looks least strong. Just real BS that really won't help your portfolio, help you make a decision, help me make a decision about getting rich. Gossiping, yes, that would help a lot. But as far as getting wealthy, negative. So this is why I say bottom line over headline. There's a lot of great people out here. Give these content creators a like because they're out here getting the photos, updating, giving you the progress of where it's going. Shout outs to this painting of the end of meritocracy, a meeting of the two largest economies and not one woman at the table. That's just how that landed. You know what I'm saying? You're in the room because you have merit or you're not. And Jane was there. Jane is on the plane. She's a part of it. She's a female with Citibank Group. So get out of here. See how people be. So we got Delta Airlines. Not so much good. Shout outs to Chris. He's talking about something else. As you can see, back to the round trip. Beijing doing its thing. All these guys are there. Heavy hitters in the market across the board. Making deals happen. This is where I say, this is a flex. I really was super excited about this. I was like, I can't believe that it's this many of these guys in one place. Now, it's been 5 years since I retired at 32, and people ask me why I stay focused on these big geopolitical shifts. It's because mobility and autonomy requires a clear understanding of where the world is heading. I made a little play on that news about the H200s. I made a little money last night. Just like that in 1 minute, I was able to make like a couple of hundreds of dollars. So I just did it for fun. And then if the US and China move into a managed competition era, it opens up sovereign corridors for investors. And it means we can stop worrying about the total supply chain collapse and start focusing on infrastructure growth. And then being always loyal means being loyal to the mission of wealth preservation. Today's visit to Beijing is a reminder that even the biggest empires eventually have to sit down and talk business. And I love it. The business has been good talks. Shout outs to Trump, he's talking in the background, but I'm over talking him. And then don't let the noise distract you from the fact that the world's greatest businessmen are currently in China to make money. And you and I am doing the same. I'm not going to say what you guys should be doing. I don't want y'all to hit me over the head. Oh, you told me this. And so that's the deals that are being done. I love it. I think it's very important for these guys to be downrange. And I'm a capitalist, so some of you guys might not like it. That's okay. We really don't care over here. We get shmoney, and we worry about shmoney moves and not gossip moves. See, if you look at the news, though, the news was gossiping. They was like, yo, the Chinese president saying he has more power because we're in Iran. They were just gossiping. I was like, I didn't listen to none of that. I'm like, bro, just show me. There go female right there. I was like, bro, just show me the deals that are being done, what's being said by officials. I don't want to hear the in-between people chatting up a storm about their geopolitical Taiwan war over here. Like, I don't want to hear that. Unless you were in the room, shut it up. Like, what's the business being done out of here? They need the financial frontier at the forefront, covering everything that's relevant to business. Like, that's it. The bottom line, man, not the headlines. See, that's the audit for today. The deals aren't all signed yet, but the intent is clear. From Air Force One to the Great Wall of the People. In 2026 roadmap is being drawn in ink, not blood. And then we'll keep tracking the NVIDIA exports of the Board of Trade developments, and hit that like button and subscribe to the Frontier. I'm Sean Bird. And you're looking at the bottom line because the headlines are just there to keep you trapped. I'm out. Shout outs to everybody, man. I think this is good progress. This is what I really love to see. Like, I love seeing our country on the forefront, making things happen in the real way. Now, just in 17 hours ago, these 10 Chinese firms have been approved. Now, Beijing has been telling these companies to hold off because they're still negotiating. Still negotiating, right? But this is the deal. The deal mechanics. Trump negotiated 25% revenue from the chip sales going to U.S. So the normies, you make money too. God dang communists. And the chips must physically pass through the U.S. territory before being shipped to China. And that allow other American businesses to get a piece. Buyers must demonstrate significant security procedures and no military use on the back end. I don't know how you'll enforce or track that. NVIDIA must certify sufficient U.S. inventory. The bigger picture is that the U.S. export curves NVIDIA had 95% of China's advanced chip market. See, we had control of the market, and then we let it go because stupid policy.